Do you know someone who has been diagnosed with cancer, or maybe who has passed away from it? If you have, then I suggest that you read a book called The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. It's about a girl named Hazel Grace who is 16, and she has thyroid cancer, and she ends up meeting a 17-year-old boy named Augustus who has bone cancer, and they meet at a cancer support group meeting, and Augustus is actually there with a friend of his named Isaac. After the meeting, Augustus invites Hazel to his house, and before she goes home, he gives her a book called The Price of Dawn, and then Hazel tells him that he should read a book called An Imperial Affliction by Peter Van Houten. When he reads the book, he gets upset when he finds out that the book doesn't have a conclusion, and Hazel explains to him that Van Houten, after he published the book, he was never heard from. Then a week later, Augustus reveals to Hazel that he was able to track down Van Houten's assistant, and they were able to email Van Houten, and Augustus ends up surprising Hazel with tickets to Amsterdam to go see Van Houten, but right before she's supposed to leave, she ends up being put in the ICU, but she ends up being able to go. When they get there, Hazel and Augustus realize that Van Houten is a mean-spirited drunk, and they get into an argument, and so they end up leaving his house to go to the Anne Frank house instead. When they return home, Augustus gets worse, and he gets put in the ICU. Augustus was afraid he was going to pass away soon, so he wanted to plan a pre-funeral, and so Isaac and Hazel both give eulogies, and shortly after that funeral, he does pass away. Van Houten shows up to apologize to Hazel shortly after the funeral. A few days later, Hazel learns that Augustus was writing a sequel to the Imperial Affliction for her, and that he had sent the pages to Van Houten because he wanted Van Houten to use them to compose a eulogy for Hazel, like Hazel did for him. Van Houten does end up reading them and sends them to Hazel, and he ends up saying that getting hurt in this world is inevitable, but we do get to choose who we allow to hurt us, and Augustus states that he was happy with his choice, and she says that she is too. So it's a really good book.